This is the Final Word T20 World Cup Daily, Day 12, with Jeff Lemon and Daniel Norcross coming to you for the final time from New York, from Long Island, from Eisenhower Park, from all of those places. Daniel, hello. Show's brought to you by Westfield London, Westfield Stratford City. Can you please tell me about the USA versus India in the space of 30 seconds?
USA batted first, and a poor man who'd come in for the captain was out to his very first ball of the tournament. LBW, it got even worse. 3 for 2 at the end of the first over, and then a sort of crawling approach to get back into the game. Some fantastic hitting from Nitish Kumar, who actually went to university with a man called Basil Akram. More of him later. Got him up to 110. It was not quite enough. It felt like it might be nearly enough, but it really wasn't enough. Virat Kohli was out first ball, which was fun, and in the end, India pulled off what will be seen as a regulation win, but wasn't, because the USA were incredibly plucky.
There was a point, there were several points during that chase where you thought, we've seen this game before. We've seen a team bat first, make not many, and then either defend it or almost defend it against a team that on paper is a lot better than them, that should do it easily, but is not actually doing it very easily. Particularly that point of 55 for 3 after 12 overs, after Kohli and Rawat are out cheaply at the top, and Suryakumar Yadav's out there with Shivam Dubey, and Dubey scoops that ball to short fine leg. And poor old Netravalka, who we should be talking about for his bowling because he was magnificent, running back, lets the catch go through his hands, bounces off his thigh, nearly reels it in 5 times, doesn't. It goes down, and you thought, well, at that point, if you get a new player in, it's so hard to start on this pitch. And even needing a runner ball, but they needed a little bit more than that at that point, they would have been a real chance, USA.
I've seen every game here, and it was around about that point I actually thought the USA were in with a really good chance at that point, even after the drop catch, because once anything gets over 7 and over, it's hellishly difficult. I know it's crazy to say. You've got to just look at the quality of the two players who are batting together. Suryakumar Yadav and Shivam Dubey are two of the biggest boundary hitters in IPL and in world cricket. And there was a point at which they had faced 52 balls between them and struck 2 boundaries. Now, that is just incomprehensible against the USA. And however much we're going to say, didn't the USA play well? They are a better team than you think they are. They're not that much better a team than you think they are. They shouldn't only be conceding 2 boundaries. No team should be conceding 2 boundaries to those 2 players. Therefore, that tells you what the pitch is, which is devilishly difficult to score big runs on. It makes for absorbing, weird cricket, and it meant that the USA were in it. I thought the moment they actually lost was when they got it down to 35 needed off 30 balls, and in a way that only cricket can do, we wasted 3 minutes while the umpires nattered to each other about how the USA had been wasting time between overs, which was, you can't get more cricket than that. And then they were taking 5 runs off. So instead of needing 35 off 30, they needed 30 off 30. And that meant that, the 6 off, it was like the first ball of the over, utterly crushed the USA. And suddenly they were 11 runs worse off in the space of sort of 1 ball. That was really what did it. But the USA did play well. I mean, I thought some of the shots of the day with Nitish Kumar played a fabulous shot. Aaron Joe, Stephen Taylor were decent again. They managed to get their side back on track after the loss of 2 early wickets. And if it does rain in Florida, and or if the USA beat Ireland, and if the USA go through to the Super 8s, which I think is increasingly likely, I think they'll be an interesting proposition. I need to know what they look like on better pitches against the better teams. But I think they've got some good players. Netravalka's a good player. They've got some good explosive hitters. Corey Anderson doesn't come in until number 6. He finally bowled some overs today, which was nice.
Finally got a hit today,
yeah. So it tells you they got to where they are without even using him.
Well, they didn't use him for the super over the other game, which was peculiar, I suppose, or for the bit leading up to the super over.
It was utterly weird, wasn't it? And he barely batted against Canada. It's really the first time he's actually had a sort of a say in the game. But, if he's coming in at 6 and then you've got Harmeet Singh down the order at 7, they still hit a mean long ball.
It was interesting. I mean, things weren't going USA's way at the start. So Monak Patel, the captain, the keeper, he's out. So they've got Aaron Jones is captaining, deputising. They've got Andres House, Aussie House hitting, doing the wicket keeping. They've got Jahangir who comes in opening. He's out first ball of the game. LBW. Arshdeep Singh left arm swinging it, the usual thing. And then House Party comes out and tries to play a pull shot to a ball that's not there for it. Spoons it to mid off. They're 2 for nothing at the end of the first over, and you're thinking, well, this could be a real ugly one. And it was a hard rebuild, really, between when Jones came out to bat with Taylor, they had an awful lot of work to do, and they saw off some pretty low scoring overs, but they had to hang in there.
Well, they got 84 off the last 12, and that's really quite hard to do against quite hard to bat actually on this pitch the longer it goes on. So you get the occasional freebie boundary against a new ball. What you don't do though is you should never pull, unless it's Shivam Dubé bowling slingy nonsense at 75 miles an hour. Anybody who's bowling over 80 miles an hour on that pitch, if you tried to pull it, you got out. We've seen it time and time again. We've seen Henrik Norgir do it. We've seen Rabada do it to people. Just put that shot away.
Unless you're Stephen Taylor and you hit that flat, brutal, glorious six that he pulled.
But that was off. That was off Dubé.
Yeah.
And what I thought actually they should have tried to do more, and this is based on both teams, is the ramp. Because the problem was that actually trying to get through a full pull shot when you've got uneven bounce, it's much harder. You've got too many moving parts to the shot, where you wait for the ball and try and watch it onto the bat. That was probably the better way to go, and nobody really mastered it. But then I don't think anybody really has played on pitches like these or probably ever will again.
Well, I suspect that you're maybe not this specific one, a drop in New York, but your USA and Canada type teams probably have played on more of these surfaces than the top tier teams who are used to having the nice stuff rolled out. So Jones, I felt like when Aaron Jones got out, that was important. He was 11 off about 20 balls at the time, just couldn't get anywhere. He hooks 1-6, he gets caught trying the shot again, down at fine leg, almost carries, doesn't quite carry. They're 25 for 3 after in the 8th over, so they're going nowhere. And then Taylor and Nitish Kumar put on a partnership. Nitish Kumar interesting because he's supposed to be a tick the singles kind of player, but he strikes a glorious 6 down the ground and then rifles a 4 after it. Like there was just quite the shot. It was Hardik Pandya bowling that over, wasn't it? Sort of knew that he had to lift the rate to help Taylor out, and Taylor was going at less than a run a ball, but he plays a couple of big shots that pulled 6 and then smokes the straight 6 off Axar down the ground and then gets bowled next ball, as you often see trying to do, not the same shot, but trying to whack another one.
It's quite unlucky bowled as well, was it? Sort of bits and bobs of bowled, other stuff getting in the way. It was a shame when he went out because he just started to find his mojo. I mean, I did notice when Bumrah came onto him, the alacrity with which he took the single off the first ball off a thick outside edge and then stayed firmly rooted to the non-striker's end for the remaining 5 balls of that Bumrah over. That's a proper professional. I liked the look of that. But I think also
they played Bumrah really well. Once he was out, Harmeet Singh and Corey Anderson, that over where Anderson left-hander goes a little open the face steer through a very fine deep 3rd for 4. And then Harmeet goes just a little pick-up flick off the hip for 6, like Washington Sundar in the Gabba Test. It was a beautiful shot.
It was fantastic. And actually, you've taken my Hall of Famer. It was going to be Anderson's. I've never seen anybody play the most perfectly timed late glide for
straight bat glide
through first slip. It was a thing of beauty and wonder. You knew it was deliberate at the time, but you couldn't quite believe it because of where it went. I mean, normally you think, well, there's a bit of good fortune in that, but you saw the replay a couple of times, completely deliberate. The key moment, though, was I think the catch by Siraj, wasn't it, in the USA innings? It's a really good catch out in the deep to get rid of Kumar. He was just really going nicely. One of the very few people we've seen in the last 10 days who was able to time the ball on the pitch. I don't quite know how he was able to do that, but he looked the real deal. And at that point, we were talking in a box about 140. I do think that 140 would have been really hard for India to get. The USA might have got there had it not been for a really good bit of work by Siraj out in the deep.
Yeah, he dropped 1, but he took a couple out there, and that was one of the harder ones going backwards. Nitish Kumar, 27 off 23, which was brisk in the circumstances. So just over 100 to defend, possible. And then Netravalkar, who every American I've spoken to who hasn't been following it much but has an idea the World Cup is on, they've heard of Netravalkar now. They keep going, isn't our best player a software engineer from some company in the Bay Area? Yes, he is. And there he was again, left arm, angle across Kohli, draws the outside edge, trying to punch. And then he's following over, Rohit Sharma, trying to do that little Rohit flick through sort of wide long on. Mistimes at leading edge, very good catch running back from mid-off as well to get under it. Was it Jasdeep Singh who took that catch? I can't remember. It was Harmeet Singh who took the catch. It was an extraordinary start, and then he smashes Suryakumar Yadav on the fingers, and there's a 5-minute delay while he gets his thumbs taped up. You're going, hang on a minute, like this guy is into him.
It wasn't it? It was actually really. It was a really aggressive start from the USA. They didn't look remotely overawed. And one of the things to note for me was I was coming back into the commentary box when I heard this huge roar, and I assumed that Kohli had hit a 6. No, it was Kohli getting out.
First ball.
Most times when you're at a game where Kohli is playing, the crowd want Kohli to bat for a long, long time. But I think the American crowd had spurred on Netravalka. I think they'd spurred on the entire team. There were loads of flags. I saw a banner that said, Aaron Johnson is my role model. I mean, yeah.
It's very, I don't know, like it's not punchy as a.
But he meant it, and he screamed. He was an Afro-Caribbean gentleman who was very American, and he gave a really good sort of. Yeah. Aaron Johnson
Aaron Jones or Aaron Johnson?
Aaron
Johnson plays for Canada.
Aaron Jones. It would have been Aaron Jones. I wish they'd stop doing this. Aaron Jones. The man who hit 10 sixes at Dallas.
Yeah.
The other thing.
Remember the name, or another similar name,
or another face. But the other thing to note about the way they went about this USA is they hit 6 sixes, 3 fours. Yeah. Right? They realised that the outfield was just not going to work for them, and that was one of the lovely features of Anderson's four. Actually, it went so quickly. It went for 4. He just used the pace of Bumrah. So they realised what they had to do. They adapted to it, and you forgot almost that they had not played on this pitch.
Yeah. But they've got Suryakumar Yadav, and that's so even at the point after the first 2 wickets have fallen. So Jones, stand-in captain, he goes, all right, I'm going to bring back Netravalka for a 3rd over on the spin off the top. He's bowling well, back him, understand the reasoning, like the idea. Suryakumar comes across, kneels down and plays that flick over, not even really backwards square, like just over square leg. I don't understand the physics of how you're able to time that stroke, and then Rishabh Pant pulls a 6, and suddenly they're back into it after that losing those first 2.
The problem with the shot is that nobody wants to say it, but it's wristy, and you don't want to say it because people
it's too obvious.
Yes, exactly. People say, "Oh, the wristy Indians," but there is no other way to explain how the ball is outside the off stump, and yet somehow is taken from there, square of the wicket in exactly the other direction. It's a thing of marvellous beauty. He did another one of those, which was slightly different. The one when he goes the businessman's tie over the shoulder.
Yep.
When they're having soup. I love that shot. Yeah. And he gets into the most ungainly position. You think this is all going to go horribly wrong. He was only able to do it a couple of times, but when he does do it, you gasp, don't you?
Yeah, you do. There's nothing else to do. Rishabh Pant gets out after that. This is Ali Khan, round the wicket, angled in, keeps slow, bowls him, 39 for 3, absolute uproar at this point. They've got Van Skalkvik who comes in and bowls a really quiet over. They've got Anderson, who everybody's watchful about because he's
spin.
No spin.
Absolutely no spin.
No, Jadeja didn't bowl today. Anderson, golden arm, doesn't get a wicket in his first over for once, and then Drink's 47 for 3. They're keeping the scoring quiet, and then there's that moment in the 13th over, the drop catch, that's where I felt like the USA could have really turned the screws, and that's the obvious flex point. And basically from there, I don't know, it just felt like India would do it as long as they didn't lose a wicket there, because it was hard starting. But there's that Suryakumar Yadav, that whip in front of square across the ground from Ali Khan that goes for 4, and then Dubé slots Corey Anderson, gets a full ball and goes across the line, left-handed, so not the way that I'm gesticulating, but biggest 6 of the day by a mile. That went so far back.
Yeah, that was enormous, and it sort of came not from nowhere, but we were saying, I think Prakash Ragankar on commentary for the BBC was saying that Shivam Dubé was batting so long it was getting slightly embarrassing. Remember an innings that Rahul Tewatia played once many moons ago?
Yeah.
And everyone was saying it's not fair on the lad, they should send him back to his village and he can go and play with. Yeah, it turns out that actually he just needed to play himself into form and could then whack it to all parts. But Dubé was getting struck on the body, struck on the shoulder, struck on the midriff, just going through the shot time and time again. And the one he nailed was a thing of wondrous beauty. It went back about 15 rows, and it's not that hard to emphasise how big the boundaries are, because I can just tell you they're very deep, they're very big. I went for a walk around the ground, and when you stand outside the boundary and you think, oh, that is really a big old hit.
Yeah.
It is a big old hit. So to get that and then some, that was delicious. One of the few shots that really connected today.
And there's that bit where then Suryakumar goes, he has the loft, he hits a loft at 6 over cover and then scoops the 4 over his shoulder, and they're pretty much done from that point. They run it down in the 18th over. Arshdeep Singh 4 for 9, was it? Ridiculous figures. Hardik Pandya bowled really well. I thought got smacked in 1 over, but his other 3 were very tidy, and he was using the short ball. He had hostility on his bouncer. He was back of a length. So there was a fair bit to like from India bowling. as well as the batting. The batting just got the job done. USA didn't lose too much paint on net run rate, but they have dipped below Pakistan just fractionally on net run rate now. So the two Ireland games, both teams play Ireland in Florida, both might be washed out. One might get on, the other might get on, who knows. USA just need to somehow wrangle a point, either have Pakistan not beat Ireland or have themselves not have to beat Ireland because it rains or something. That's all to come with West Indies, New Zealand tonight as well. So you're going down to Florida for the rain?
I go down to Florida for the rain, yeah, I can't wait. I've been told about all the beaches there. I don't think I'll be seeing them. I've got a piece I've got to write about the 1984 Blackwash, so I think I might just stay in my hotel for 3 days and write that.
Okay, very good. Let's take a break, then we'll do Hall of Fame in Australia, Namibia. It is the final word World Cup Daily. It's brought to you by Westfield. A good day to note that the black culture market at Westfield supports emerging entrepreneurs and new businesses of African and Caribbean descent to show off and sell their products in the retail industry. You can get cards, you can get prints, you can get jewellery, grooming kits, skincare products, men's and women's stuff. You can support black-owned startup businesses in Britain while doing exactly that. Less than 0.25% of startup capital in UK goes to black entrepreneurs. So when you shop at the Black Culture Market, you're helping people achieve their dreams in business. It's open at Westfield London until the end of June.
That's a truly extraordinary stat. I mean, it does make sense in this totally cruel, divisive world that we live in, but when you see it written down, if you don't mind me saying so, in black and white, it gives you pause for thought. Get down to Westfield.
So, Hall of Fame, what have we got? What you've already had your beautiful squeeze through first sleep. You've got something else?
I have. I've remembered it. I mean, I can't remember who played the shot, but the shot's not as important as what happened to the ball.
Okay.
Ball was hit for six, flat six.
Yeah.
So we should be able to work it out. Flat
Johnson
six.
pull?
Johnson pull. Johnson pull.
Sorry, Taylor pull.
Taylor. You're getting... Or Jones even. No, it was a Taylor pull. It was the Taylor pull. And he whacks it. And around here, there's a lot of...
To be fair, Taylor, Johnson and Jones are basically interchangeable as names.
Same name, yeah. That's basically my big problem. And that is also another story, but we'll go into imperialism and colonialism on another day.
Yeah.
But he sweetly strikes the ball, and he hits someone. And the person he hits is one of many people who festoon our ground. And they all look like, when you come to the United States, it's amazing how people look like they're supposed to look. Like you get these New York cops, and they look like New York cops, and they're artist nails, and they talk like this, and they got the tashes, and they got the hats, and they got all of that malarkey. And he whacks it, and the guy's just not looking, and it goes crunch right into his chest, and he doubles up, and you think, you're not so hard now, are you? Now you come to the cricket. So that's my Hall of Fame. They're lovely people on the whole, by the way. They've been very polite to us, but my Hall of Fame was enjoying watching a cop getting hit by a cricket ball.
Something that many people can get behind. It's some sort of Jimmy Smits kind of character getting crunched out on the deep mid-wicket boundary. Yeah, I think I'll just go Hall of Fame for getting through the week without being, I don't know, put in an arm bar or something by an over-enthusiastic LE official, because they have been everywhere and they haven't had much to do, so they've been finding things to do. Anyway, let's look at Australia-Namibia just briefly. There wasn't much of a game to speak of. Australia rested Mitchell Starc, had Marcus Stoinis open the bowling, which by this point just seems a little bit rude by that point. It's fine. We don't need our absolute strike weapon, left arm, lethal, bowls 150. Stoinis can do that job. Right arm mediums, no worries. Hazelwood gets both openers caught in the gully. Cummins gets the number 3 caught in the ring. It's all very test match opening day kind of stuff. Nathan Ellis comes in for a game. He gets a leg before wicket because he usually does, skids it on. Zampa gets a bag, gets 4 for bugger all with catches in the outfield, slides on an LBW. Googly that takes out the stumps, the full leg spinners bit. And then Gerhard Erasmus comes out, and as we like to say on this program, Gerhard or get home. He comes out and makes 36 in pretty quick time, but then he's out. Stoinis, skies one in the air, the number 11's out.
Got half their runs.
Yeah, got pretty much half their runs. Yeah. Oh, it's exactly half their runs, isn't it? 36 is half of 72.
It is, yeah.
So anyway, all of that happened. Then Australia ran it down in 5 and a bit overs. 34 balls, 32 balls. Can't remember. Warner got 20 off 8 and was out in the second over. Travis Head got 34 off 17. Mitchell Marsh 18 off 9. It was an absolute thwacking, and we haven't seen a lot of thwackings aside from a couple of the Uganda games.
Well, I was going to say, that's the sort of game that we were all terrified were going to be so many of these games, but they haven't been, have they? No. England's helped by getting whacked around by Scotland and then it raining on them, but also Pakistan have helped by losing. Ireland have helped by losing. So most of the games have actually been really tight and really, really exciting and really competitive. And I in part, because we've had 8 games here, where the pitch is so difficult, it kind of brings teams closer together anyway. So maybe, it's all worked out absolutely perfectly. And then we're going to get really tight games because they're not going to play at all in Florida. And then we'll move into the Super 8, and that'll be different. But yeah, I mean, for Australia, they're just having the easiest time of it imaginable, aren't they?
I might as well float this one past you. Let's say England win their next 2 well, but not as well as they need to. And let's say if Scotland get badly beaten by Australia, it will see them knocked out and England go through. Whereas if Scotland keep Australia to a chase of, say, 18 overs, then it will see them go through. Why would there be any incentive, or would there be any incentive for Australia to say, well, we're going to try to chase these in 10 overs rather than we're going to take our sweet time? And would there be, a lot of people are suggesting that this would be a moral failure to do this. I'm not entirely sure about that.
I'm afraid I'm going to adopt the kind of the mad footballers approach, which is that the morality of this is that if Australia believes that, we've got to win, we want to win at all costs, which most teams do believe these days, you're encouraged to believe that, then you would think to yourself that England are probably more of a threat in the later stages were you to face them in a semi-final. England have actually had some very good results over Australia over recent years in World Cups. So you would rather England weren't there. So the right thing to do, the right thing to do would be to just lose the game, but that just looks really terrible. Yeah. So you're right.
There is an anti-corruption element to that would be frowned upon.
There is an anti-corruption element that would be frowned upon. So you're right, that wouldn't be the right thing to do. It would be the wrong thing to do, kids. But winning, whenever you win, you can win of the last ball of the 20th over if you want. Yeah. And if that actually sees England eliminated and it's in your country's best interest, your team's best interest, you do it. I don't see a problem with that.
If you're allowed to bat cautiously and with a lower risk approach in order to make sure that you get a win, well, what's wrong with that?
To make sure of the win, it's plausible deniability. Is that's all you require in these situations. England got themselves into the pickle by losing to Australia. Australia got themselves the advantage by beating England. It's as simple as that. And if England complain and say, well, if it hadn't rained against Scotland, we'd have won. Well, 109 in 10 overs was far from a foregone conclusion. So that's just the way the cookie crumbles, I'm afraid. It's brutal, tournament cricket. And if Australia want to go slow to win and eliminate England, then I don't see any problem. What I mean is there shouldn't be any investigations. No one should be whining about it. It's tactically the right thing to do, and you want your players to do the tactically correct thing.
Well, it may not come to that, but we will see. It's the end of the Final Word World Cup Daily, Day 12. Thank you to Daniel Norcross. We will be somewhere else. I'll be in Antigua. You'll be in Florida. Off we go. Show's brought to you by Westfield. If you want to get the ad-free feed of The Final Word, go to patreon.com/thefinalword, and that's where you can find us and help support the show. That's it. From the USA, this has been the Final Word Tour of the USA. We will see you anon, where the land of the free and the home of the brave shines like a beacon across the seas or something. Bye.